It's a warm-up and it's turning into the whole thing now. So it's okay. So it dies away and then okay? Yes, yeah. And then we'll repeat this various times throughout the presentation. So okay, so we'll give it a go. Ready? Yeah, well, that went well. So try one other thing. Just a kind of bonding exercise here. I'm trying to think how to bond you together. I'm a psychologist, so has anybody got any sexual problems they want to share with the group? No? You, sir, surely. You don't mind kicking things off? Is that the problem? Or is that... Okay, so what I'm going to do is talking about all sorts of different things, a little bit about psychology of magic, a little bit about YouTube, and we're going to try something very ambitious. We're going to try and break a world record here this afternoon. So I'm very excited about that, but do try and keep the energy to a minimum, as you're doing so well at the moment. So, since last time I was with you, I've written this book. We can cut to the slides here. This is It's Psychology, the Curious Science of Everyday Life. And what it is a kind of a collection of some of the weirder and strange experiments that I've been doing over the last 15 years or so. So it tackles all sorts of issues. Some people born lucky, why do incompetent politicians win elections? How can you tell when someone's lying? Does deja vu actually exist? What's the perfect pickup line? How does your name influence your life? And does deja vu? Just to warn you, this is not going to turn into one of those horrible sort of, 30-40 minute book plug type events. What I will be talking about, though, is the various things that have really kind of motivated me and excited me over the years. And for those of you who've been to a few times, you will have some of this sort of material before. Because what really excited me to get into psychology in the first place was actually optical illusions. We heard yesterday about trying to elicit a sense of curiosity from people. I think nothing can do that as well as a wonderful illusion. So as you look at this image of ex-Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, it looks like a fairly normal face. And this is a fantastic illusion. What you're seeing at the moment, what you're constructing in your mind's eye, is not what's on the screen. To find out what's actually there, you have to turn her the right way up. And that's how she actually is. In the image. And the reason why we kind of convert it to a normal image is we're not used to seeing a face where the eyes and the mouth have been inverted. And I think as soon as you have that experience, you can't walk away from that. You want to understand more. And that's a concept I'm going to return to a little bit later on. So basically with this great illusion, upside down should reasonably normal, and the right way up absolutely terrifying. And of course that's true. Fairly normal, the right way up, absolutely terrifying. And so that was one of my kind of interests in psychology. But my other interest, the reason I got into psychology, is actually because of the psychology of magic. I used to work as a magician. And you'll see this actually. Where's the camera? What company? Excellent. This is quite a rare, unusual coin because if you take it, it completely disappears. But again, no down on response. Because you're thinking, burn the warlock. And then the rational side's kicking in. You're thinking, no, give the little bald professor a chance to explain himself. The coin is actually over here. And this is what's called the French drop. It's the first piece of sleight of hand you learn as a magician. And what you're doing is simply pretending to take the coin, but leaving it over here. And if you do want to learn this, it takes around about 2 weeks to practice just dropping a coin without moving your hand very much. And another 2 weeks to take a coin that's not actually there. It's not the most interesting month of your life. I hope. But when you put it together, huge amounts of psychology even in the simplest of pieces of magic. So I need to get you to look at the hand that doesn't contain the coin. But I can't ask you to look here. Because if I do that, you'll get very suspicious and you'll look over here. So I have to just exploit the normal rules of attention. And we're social animals. So if I look at you, you'll look at me. And if I look at the coin, you'll look at the coin. And now if I look over here, you'll look over here. Even though you now know exactly where the coin actually is, you'll find it impossible not to look exactly where I'm looking. It's just one of those weird things. And you can show how effective that is by doing what lots of amateur magicians do when they first learn this. It's really weird to look somewhere where the coin isn't. So what they do is look where the coin is, and under those circumstances, it's not such a great piece of magic. But it's not just about eye contact, it's also about movement. For good evolutionary reasons, the eye follows a moving hand. So it's this hand, the hand I want you to look at, is the one that moves. The other hand remains relatively stationary. And again, what I can do is disrupt that and move the wrong hand, and then you'll see that suddenly it's not such a good trick. A bit strange. Because what's really weird is to look in the wrong place and move the wrong hand. Because then an okay piece of magic turns into something deeply surreal. Now, for the most part, it doesn't matter whether you can understand how magic's done, because you go to a magician, they entertain you, and that's their job. However, some of the time, obviously, it does matter. And this is where we move into claims of the paranormal. So again, if we can switch back to the slides. And I wanted to illustrate this with an investigation that I carried out a few years ago into some of the god men of India. And these people claim to be able to produce miracles, often materializing objects and so on. And this is Sai Baba, probably one of the most famous god men of all, has an estimated following of 13 million people. He's based in an ashram, religious retreat, in the south of India. And with a colleague, I went over to investigate his claims. The problem was that just before I got there was a very nasty assassination attempt, as opposed to the pleasant assassination attempt. There was a nasty assassination. Oh yes, I enjoyed that one. It just missed me. The nasty assassination attempt. Unfortunately, his assistant had been killed, and so there was a big lockdown on the ashram. There was a lot of security there. And it meant that we were going to get nowhere near him to observe him or test him. But what was really interesting is while we were there, a big news story broke. He is a major player in religion in India. And the story broke. The Doordarshan, which is the national broadcasting service television for India, had filmed him opening a hall. It materialised an object that they'd caught some trickery on the tape. Now what had happened was that the senior executives at the Doordarshan had said that tape got to be destroyed, it's never going to be shown, so just get rid of all the evidence of it. But the story made its way into the newspapers. So I was sending faxes back to the UK, and just by chance one of the fax operators looked at what I was sending back, realised I was a scientist interested in these things, and said, you know, the stories that's in the newspaper is not true. The tape wasn't destroyed. The editor who was told to destroy it made a copy. And he's my friend. And if you give me enough money, I can get the copy. So we parted with a fairly large sum of money, and the man came back with the tape. So what I'm going to show you is the tape. We brought it back to the UK. It's since appeared in many... oh my goodness, it started already. Yeah, that's a bit confusing. There we are. Right. So this has appeared in many UK television programmes about Sai Baba across the world. What you're going to see is Sai Baba walk across. He's given what's called a memento, a sort of cup that he's going to present to the architect who designed the hall in his name. His assistant hands him the cup. What you need to focus on is under the cup, just under the cup, where the two of them, their hands meet. Because what happens, as people looking at this, I believe the assistant is handing him the object, he then passes it from one hand to the other, and then allegedly materialises it. So this is the god man, Sai Baba, with the tape that they didn't want you to see. Here comes the cup. of his godlike abilities. And so I had this tape, and the thing is, at that point, I hadn't actually checked I'd got the tape. I'd seen the thing, but I didn't know that my copy was accurate. And so I went back to the hotel, and I said, is there a VCR where I can just play this tape to check it? And they said, yes, it's in the basement. And I went down to the basement, put it into the VCR, pressed play, checked it, yes, we've got this evidence. And my colleague came running down and said, what on earth are you doing? I said, I'm just watching the VCR. They said, no, that's the VCR they use to play films into every room in the hotel. So I managed to broadcast this to about 500 people on the ashram, and that was a fairly quick exit from there. So those are some of the investigations I've been involved in. And when the Quirkology book came out, I wanted to sort of use it as a platform to try and get particularly children and younger adults engaged in psychology in the same way that Optical Illusions had engaged me all those years ago. And of course the most obvious way of doing that is via YouTube. And if there's anyone in the room who doesn't know how YouTube works, basically you have video, such as this, a cute dog, and you upload your video and then you get X number of hits or views on your video. This is about 300,000 of a cute dog, which is a great video, in part because the cute dog falls into a combine harvester at the end. In my mind. What I wanted to do was try and create something that would produce that sense of curiosity. And I played around with lots of ideas for around about 6 months, and then eventually had this thought and worked it out. And I really didn't know whether it would work or not, but I managed to assemble a few friends of mine together. We spent around about £50 on the video, which translates to about $2,500. And so it really didn't cost very much at all. I know many of you have seen this because you've been very kind enough to come up and talk about it with me. But for those of you who haven't, because I'm going to talk about it in depth, I'm going to play it in anyway. This is the colour-changing card trick. And I'm not going to talk any more about it, I'm just going to play it in and then talk quite a lot more about it. So this is the colour-changing card trick.
Hi, I'm Richard, this is Sarah, and we're going to perform the amazing colour-changing card trick with this blue-backed deck of cards. Now the idea is very simple. I'm just going to spread the cards in front of Sarah and ask her to push any card towards the camera.
Right, okay, let's see. I'm going to go for this card here.
Okay. Now Sarah could have selected any card at all from the deck, but she selected the card which is now face down on the table. And what I'm going to ask her to do is show us which card she selected.
Right, so the card that I chose was in fact the 3 of diamonds.
The 3 of diamonds, okay, an excellent choice. That card goes back into the deck. Now I'm just going to spread the cards face up on the table. Give a little click of the fingers, and you'll see that Sarah's card here has now got a blue back. Not particularly surprising. What's slightly more surprising is all of the other cards have got red backs. And that is the amazing colour-changing card trick.
That's what we did. For those of you who haven't seen it before or worked it out, it's nothing to do with the colours of the backs of the cards. This is how we start. I've got a sort of tan top on, Sarah's got black top on, a dark tablecloth and a dark banner behind, and this is how we finish. So I've changed the colour of my shirt, Sarah's changed her sweater, the tablecloth's changed, and the back. So in fact 85% of the visual field has changed. And the vast majority of people don't notice these things. We've tested this on people. There are 4 changes in there, around about 11% on mine, 26% on Sarah's top. That's the ones recognised mainly by guys for some reason. 10% there. So only 3% of the population actually see all of those changes. But the thing about magic and presenting magic is that it's strategically, from a social perspective, really quite tricky. Because what I'm saying is, I know a secret, and I'm not going to tell you the secret. And of course, people don't like people who withhold secrets from them. So with the colour-changing card trick, what we also wanted to do was get people to come with us, and to come backstage, so we could show them how we made it. The whole thing is taken in just one straight piece of footage. There's no editing at all. This is the long shot from a camera on the other side of the lab. You... It's a long story. Basically, he turned right instead of left. And no. So the original shot that you saw came from the camera that Caroline is holding here. But now you're seeing exactly the same piece of footage as the one you saw a few moments ago, but now you'll see exactly how we managed to do it, and also how tight the timing is on it. Jessica is our props person here, and then behind Jessica is James Erskine, who is an expert on thought suppression. And he was walking past the lab, and we said, we need someone to sit in dressed as a gorilla. And James, to his credit, went, that's fine. So it's exactly the same piece of footage, but now we're seeing it from that the long shot, so you can see how we did it all. Hi, I'm Richard, this is Sarah, and we're going to perform the amazing colour-changing card trick with this blue-backed deck of cards. Now the idea is very simple. I'm just going to spread the cards in front of Sarah and ask her to push any card towards the camera.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go for this card here.
Okay. Now Sarah could have selected any card at all from the deck, but she selected the card which is now face down on the table. What I'm going to ask her to do is show us which card she selected.
Right, so the card that I chose was in fact the 3 of diamonds.
The 3 of diamonds, okay, excellent choice. That card goes back into the deck. Now I'm just going to spread the cards face up on the table. Do a little click of the fingers, and you'll see that Sarah's card here has now got a blue back. Not particularly surprising. What's slightly more surprising is all of the other cards have got red backs. And that is the amazing colour-changing card trick.
It is... Oh, thank you. It was a nightmare to film. That's take 62. Because it's in one strip of action. If you're just even an inch out, then you're going to get into frame when you shouldn't. Or if the panning doesn't work properly, or you get the script wrong, or whatever. So what I've done is put together something which I'm never going to show to any other group at all. So this is the only time I'm going to show it in public. These are some of the outtakes from the content. It's never going to be on YouTube, but I thought if any group is going to enjoy it, it's going to be you guys. So here we go with some outtakes. Hi, I'm Richard, this is Sarah, and we're going to perform the amazing colour-changing card deck trick. Chosen any of these cards at all, you can be changing your deck.
Chose was the 3 of diamonds. Sorry, I got you on there.
Sarah could have chosen any card from the deck of diamonds. Here has got a blue. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. We put it on YouTube. We had no idea whether it would work or not. Tracy King, who's speaking tomorrow, is going to talk about some of the particular methods we used to promote it. It absolutely took off. There was a week last year when it outperformed 90% of the videos on YouTube. We're up to 2.5 million views of it. The channel as a whole is about 5.5 million views. We know that about 30% of the people watching this are 18 or less. We know from their comments they go away and search the internet to find out information about this phenomenon called change blindness. So I think it's a fascinating way of getting people engaged in skepticism. Often when you try and pitch a television programme or a book, there are kind of cultural gatekeepers who decide what the public read and see. What's great about YouTube is that it goes out there and there's none of that going on. And I think we're in a fantastic position to make these sorts of videos. Science demonstrations, magic tricks, this type of thing does very well. Just in terms of some of the comments which came up, we do get a lot of praise, we love it. I do read them, all of the comments, in part because I delete the negative ones. Amazing demonstration of psychology. I figured it out once someone explained it to me. And my favourite, ha ha ha, you spelled colour wrong. And lots of people have used the trick in many ways. It's
forms of inspiration for a fantastic new item in the Penn and Teller show, if anyone gets a chance to see that. John Henderson, who's an eye tracking expert, has taken the footage. There are these various dots you're about to see whiz across the screen, and people's eye movements, the centre of the iris essentially. The person in red is the person who notices Sarah's top has changed, the others don't. And what's interesting is that in terms of their eye movements, they're absolutely identical. It's the information going into the brain from people who notice this stuff and don't, absolutely identical. It's not that some people notice it because they're looking somewhere else. They're simply not processing the information in exactly the same way as others. So I think there's a fantastic potential there. And that's what we're going to move on to for the final part of the talk, because we are going to explore that potential live. But before we get there, the theme for the final part is one that's very much in keeping with the event here today about skepticism and the paranormal, because it's going to be about spoon bending. This is so awful. Performing spoon bending in front of Banachek is it's like talking about gravity in front of Newton. It's not what you want to be doing. But it's absolutely fantastic spoon bending, because if you just sort of concentrate and wiggle the spoon, there we are. In fact, the more you stroke it, the softer it gets, which is one of the few contexts where that's good news. And then eventually it breaks like that. Now, no, please, your right hold on the applause, we push the time. What crows? Now the method here is extremely simple. Basically, you take a spoon and you pre-stress it. You keep bending it backwards and forwards until it gets very hot. You hear a cracking sound. You know it's then pre-stressed and ready to go on. Of course, that's not the same as the kind of misdirection, the same with the coin trick. It's not the same as the psychology that's used to cover the method. And what I wanted to do was spend a little bit of time talking about the psychology of spoon bending. And then I thought, this is TAM. We like to make things as special as possible. And wouldn't it be fantastic to have a magician, a master magician, come on and give you his thoughts about spoon bending? Someone who's world famous and really probably considered within the world of magic one of its greatest thinkers. You're about to get a personal lesson in how to bend a spoon and the psychology involved in that. Please welcome Teller.
I really hated the test doing in impromptu magic, except for spoon breaking, which I do really rather frequently. Anytime I go to a diner, I go to a place with cheap spoons. I filch the spoon from beside my place setting. I put it under the table, and I stress it during the conversation, and I try not to give too much arm movement so no wrong impressions come through. Then I take it and place it quietly beside my place setting and just let it sit there. Now, 4 out of 5 times, that's the end of it. I don't touch it again, and sometime later, I can fantasize that some customer is stirring his coffee, and suddenly the bowl falls off. He sends back the cup of coffee. But the reason that I don't do it once I've prepared it is because I'm waiting for the opportunity to use the proper misdirection to make that trick really pay off. Now, in magic, there's the term method and the term misdirection, and it's very helpful to understand both of those. Method is the trick that deceives the eye. In this case, it's the stressing of the spoon. Misdirection is the trick that deceives the mind. In this case, we're going to have to take the method, which is really very obvious when you come right down to it. You've pre-stressed the spoon. It's a gimmick spoon. And we need to make the audience never, ever think of that possibility. And that's why I wait and don't do it so often, because I'm waiting for the possibility of a way to set this up so that no one can believe that I've prepared the spoon. Now, the simplest scenario here is that, there's lively conversation. The waiter, you're at a Greek restaurant, the waiter comes up and sets the saganaki on fire. Everybody looks over there, and you quietly go, boom, boom. And now your neighbor has the stressed spoon. And now you're some way towards a success here with misdirection. If you're timid about doing moves openly like that, you can use something else that I've used very often, which is I'll go to the restroom carrying my little spoon with me. Sometimes I'll stress it in the restroom, and when I come back, I'll go over to the waiter and I'll bribe him $5 and say, hey, when you bring the coffee and dessert, put that over at Bob's place setting. Okay, so now we've got a very interesting little trick. Our trick is get the stressed spoon to someplace where you've never been. And then the other thing I'm very fond of doing is a sort of a time misdirection, which is I always pretend that I just got the idea that I want to show this little feat. So, I'll wait till the conversation veers around to things psychic, which it's apt to do because of, our bullshit show and everybody's knowledge of who I am. Or if that doesn't happen, I'll sometimes use rather desperate means. If somebody says, God, this coffee's a bit strong. I'll go, really? Really? I'll dip my finger in it. Can I use your spoon? And I'll rub the spoon and the spoon will fall apart and the coffee gets the credit for it. But still, that's a very clear demonstration to anybody who's ever seen any of the psychic spoon bender breakers do their work, that it's just a conjuring trick. One of the best examples of really clever misdirection that I have ever heard about was Danny Hillis. Probably lots of you guys know him. Danny Hillis is one of the geniuses of parallel computing. He was at a very posh dinner at the home of philanthropist Courtney Ross. And it was one of these things, in a very select crowd, a dozen people around the table, in a perfectly designed room, the room designed by Joseph Hoffman, and the furniture all matched the decor of the room. And there were butlers delivering the food, and the various people were, artists and scientists and very famous folks like Quincy Jones. And the conversation came around to Rupert Sheldrake. So Danny knew this might be a very, very good opportunity to do something connected with psychic metal bending, because, if Rupert Sheldrake to Uri Geller's not that big a leap. So Danny quietly filched his neighbor's spoon, put it in his lap, stress fractured it, and put it back while Quincy Jones was taking all the attention and toasting and telling stories. And then Danny took his own spoon and stuck it in his plate of food. So when the butler came, the butler removed Danny's own spoon. Now, this is just perfect misdirected setting up, right? Because now Danny mentions the name Uri Geller and waits for somebody to talk about spoon breaking. And Danny says, "Oh, anybody can do that. I can do that. Here, they took my spoon. I'm like, can I borrow yours?" Nice. He takes it, and now he concentrates on it, takes it, and nothing happens. Very good. Right? Because you're trying to persuade that audience that you had no opportunity to prepare that spoon. If you had been able to prepare that spoon, you would have broken, right? No. So he takes it and says, maybe if I dip it in wine, it'll help a little bit. So he takes it and dips it in his wine. And of course, there's that refraction effect when you stick a piece of straight metal into wine. It makes it look like it's a little bent. So now everybody at the table thinks it's like a really lame trick, and it's not going to work. Great, right? Now we know that spoon, it came from somebody else. It's not gimmick. Then he takes it out and waves it back and forth, and the bowl waggles, and then the bowl hits the table, and there is stunned silence. And Danny, who is not really much, he's not a performer, he's really a computer guy, is just so proud. And the hostess says, "I can't believe you did that." And Danny says, "Yep, no psychic powers at all. I did it. It was just a trick." She says, "No, I can't believe you did that." Well, as it turns out, the room that was designed by Joseph Hoffman with the furniture that matched the room, there was also place settings that matched that. So all the silverware, these 12 precious place settings, were designed by modernist designer. And over the years, through various changes of hands, these place settings had been dispersed all over the world, and the hostess had gone to auction after auction to get every single one of the place settings back. So it's really wildly funny. Talking about misdirection with spoons, my rules are: make it seem like somebody else's spoon, do some trick to accomplish that, make it seem like you just got the idea on the spur of the moment, and make sure you're not doing it with an irreplaceable piece of art.
You can go home and say you had a personal magic lesson from Teller. It doesn't get much better than that. A little while ago, ago, Jeff Wagg emailed me and he said, "You do these unusual experiments and stunts and things. Could you do something live at TAM?" And I was talking about it with Tracy and messing around with various ideas. And I said, "Look, we could do a sort of, some sort of spoon bending thing. And what we could do is create a sort of live YouTube video. Sort of film me live taking the spoon and saying, what we have to do is just simply concentrate on it, and lo and behold, it becomes soft. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, even bend and break in half. And we could film that live." And we thought about it and realised that wouldn't be the most compelling of YouTube videos. And then we thought, what we could do is get sort of 20 people doing it, because that would be a little thing, and that might be interesting. And then we decided that wasn't particularly interesting. And then we thought, what if we get everyone doing it? And then we thought, sod it, no. No, we did. So the downside of doing this is that you do need to have a very large number, in fact 800 of pre-stressed spoons. The good news is that we have done that in the UK. They've travelled 5,000 miles to be with you, and we're going to make the largest and I hope most dramatic spoon bending video in the world live right here, right now. There's more than 800 of you, and we've only got 800 spoons. So what we're going to do is give 800 spoons out to people at the front here going back. People at the back, you're too far away from the camera to see you anyway, so we've got this idea. You're going to mime it as if you have spoons. And we're going to be the only people in the world knowing the last people at the back there that haven't got any spoons at all. So we're like a ninja. So this is very exciting, and a rather difficult thing to do. We're only going to have one take at this. We're going to have one rehearsal, one take. So the way this is going to work, we have 800 pre-stressed spoons at the front here. We're going to give them out. There's going to be like a pot of spoons. We have spent no money on this at all. There's going to be a pot of spoons that's going to be placed on the end of each table. When you have the pot, you take one spoon, you place it in front of you, and don't touch it. Okay? Don't touch it after that, because it's pre-stressed and so it's fairly easy to break. Okay, so you take a spoon out, you place it gently in front of you, you hand the pot further down the line. So if we can have the trolleys making their way this way, and as the trolleys come along, excellent. This is live science as it happens. Excellent, right. So while that's happening, a couple of things to say. If we can cut back to the slides, if that's possible. First of all, our thanks. Back on the slides? We just cut back to the slide, brilliant. Thanks to Clean Burner Systems for doing all of the pre-stressing. And if you do need any metal work done, I can highly recommend them. They're based in the UK, but they're fantastic. So right now, everyone's taking a spoon and passing it on along the rows. So that's good. While that's going on, I need everyone to pay attention, because I'm going to take you through the method. Don't touch the spoon at the minute, okay? We're only going to have one go with real spoons. The method is pretty straightforward, and it can be remembered with these 4 words: slap, hold, wiggle and drop. Which sounds like a firm of Vegas attorneys, but is actually very, very straightforward. These are the only 4 things you're going to have to do during the trick, okay? And don't do it now, don't do it now. The 4 things are this. First of all, slap. This is to kind of prove that the spoon is solid. Don't do it now with the spoon, because you'll break it. And we don't have that many. So the slap is just simply a kind of tap against your palm like this. They are actually solid enough to do that, okay? Okay, that's the slap. Okay. When it comes to the second bit, the hold, then you're going to hold it between first finger and thumb, just below the pre-stressed piece. That's the hold. The wiggle is with your other hand. You come over and wiggle the bowl, and kind of still holding it where the fracture is, so that you wiggle it backwards and forwards. This one actually is a little bit tough. There we go. You wiggle it backwards and forwards, but still keep holding where the fracture is. So that's broken now. I'm holding it together. And then the final bit is the drop, which is when basically you release the two pieces like that. Okay? Those are the 4 moves you'll be doing. That's the method. However, the really important bit is the pattern that goes with this, because we need to be doing this as one. Okay? I can't imagine this going wrong. So, the way this works, there'll be yellow writing on the board. When the yellow writing goes to red, you say the word. Okay? So let's try with the first word there. That's great. Okay? And just a little bit of method acting here. If you imagine that you just open the door and there's the most beautiful, sexy woman or guy you've ever seen in your life, so say it in a kind of really kind of flirty way. Hi. Okay, right. So that's the first thing you should say, hi. Okay, now with the next line. I'm enjoying this, even if no one else is. Right, here we go.
All we have to do is take a spoon.
Right, now at this point, you would do the slap. Don't do it now, but you do the slap, okay? Right.
Hold it between your fingers like this.
And then you go into the hold.
Concentrate and it will start to bend.
And you wiggle it.
It's really soft and easily breaks it off.
And then we all drop, or when the word drop comes on.
Anyone can do it.
I was so hoping you were going to go cheer. Right, that's our one-off rehearsal.
Oh God, not even.
So, here we go. Right, okay, with the... now, you have a question? Yes, please, yes. Yeah, I was working with a guy in a gorilla suit. Listen, I mean, you're intelligent people. I can't imagine this is going to be absolutely perfect. I mean, I've got faith in you. We'll do a very simple breathing exercise. In through the mouth, out through someone else's nose. So, are the spoons been distributed? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah? Hands up if you have a spoon. Oh, very good. Excellent. Okay, that's great. This is very exciting. We're only going to do this once. Tracy, if you come on stage. What we thought, Tracy King, ladies and gentlemen, the so I think we should probably do a walk through just to show the shots and then do it. So we want to set this up like a quirkology sort of one of the videos that I sort of did before. So it looks very small to start with. Slight technical hitch. What's happening? Just the pornography films come up here. I don't recognise any of the animals. Oh no, tell a lie. No, okay. Right, one more section here. Right. There's the vase. That's fine. There you go. Right. So, some ways the zebra. Right. That's a technical term. The zebra. It's not. Right. He's going to start off small, and so I'm going to do it as if I'm just sort of doing it on my own. Okay. So I'm going to say, "Hi, time for some amazing spoon bending." All you need to do is take a spoon, concentrate on it, and lo and behold, it will start to get soft. In fact, sometimes it even breaks in half. It's absolutely amazing. It's not that difficult. In fact, anyone can do it. And if you don't believe me, ask these guys. And on Ask These Guys, that's when we go into the first high, and we take it from there. But you're doing it with the spoon live. It seemed like such a good idea. This is going to be mayhem. Right, okay. Right, if this works, I might apply for the $1 million challenge, because it seems actually in that lead. So, everyone ready? If it was Britain, it'd be... There we go, right. Okay, recording. We also have cameras recording up the side, so fingers crossed. And let me just find a little thing here. Hi, it's time for some amazing spoon bending. All you need to do is take a spoon, concentrate on it, and it's absolutely incredible. It starts to become soft. In fact, sometimes it can even break in half. Now it looks incredible, but actually it's pretty straightforward. In fact, anyone can do it. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is ask these guys.
Hi! Time for some amazing spoon bending. All you have to do is take a spoon, slap. Concentrate, and it will start to bend.
Stirring it around when friends don't know, you take it out, there's no bowl, you go, wow, that's strong coffee. There are plastic bags on the way out, so you can put that safely, because the edges will be quite sharp, so be careful then. Put that safely in the bag, the bags at the back of the room there. Finish, don't do it now. But do hold on to it. And I'm sure people are very happy to assign the spoons as appropriate. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take the footage, we're going to edit it up. It's going to go on a website. We put the slides back on. Website, which is going to be spoonscience.com. Look at that. This is fantastic. We'll put it on there. I've made another video, which is made at University of London Material Science Department, talking about the fracture and the science behind it. We're going to have other videos showing how to fracture the spoon. We're going to try and reclaim spoon bending as a skeptical episode, so that whenever, if any kids or anyone else sees a psychic do it, they understand the science behind it, and will make it impossible to perform. Really is. I think YouTube and other platforms like it give us this amazing opportunity to get our message out there without those gatekeepers going, no, it doesn't work for me. It will work, and even with 2.5 million views, it's only a tiny percentage of kids who see that go to the library or check out the sites and get into skepticism. I think it's time well spent. I hope this video will go viral. It will, if you tell your friends about it. So if you like it, tell your friends. If you don't like it, still tell them. Why should you be the only people to suffer? And so finally, really when people say, what happened when you went to Vegas for TAM, you can tell them all about the amazing things that happened. You can also say, but actually, world-famous magician Teller gave me a magic lesson. We made a video that may change the world, and most important of all, we got to slap, hold, wiggle and drop. I've been Richard Wiseman. Thank you very much.
Hi, it's time for some amazing spoon bending. All you need to do is take a spoon, concentrate on it, and it's absolutely incredible. It starts to become soft. In fact, sometimes it can even break in half. Now it looks incredible, but actually it's pretty straightforward. In fact, anyone can do it. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is ask these guys.